I live in a small suburb in northern New Jersey. Not one of those fancy towns near New York, just a regular place with a train station, a few pizza places, and a bank that closes at 5 but keeps the ATM running outside. I was 23 at the time this happened, working the night shift at a warehouse about 40 minutes from my apartment. The hours were terrible, 11 at night until 7 in the morning. But the pay was decent and I didn't have to talk to anyone, which was fine by me. It was a Tuesday in October. I remember because I had just paid my rent that morning and my bank account was hurting. I got off work at 7 a.m., went home, slept until about 4 in the afternoon, woke up, made some coffee, watched TV for a bit. Then I realized I was almost out of cash and I needed to buy groceries. I had maybe $20 in my wallet. So around 10:45 that night, I got in my car and drove to the bank. The bank was about a mile from my apartment. It sat at the corner of a mostly empty strip mall. There was a dry cleaner that closed at 6, a Chinese takeout place that closed at 9, and a laundromat that stayed open until midnight. But on that night, it looked empty. The parking lot had maybe 3 cars. One of them was a white van parked way in the back under a broken street light. I didn't think anything of it at the time. You see vans in parking lots. It's not a crime. I pulled up to the ATM. It was one of those standalone machines, not built into the bank wall, just sitting there on a concrete island with a little blue light on top. I rolled down my window because the ATM didn't have a speaker and I wanted to hear if anyone was around. The air was cold. October in Jersey gets chilly fast after the sun goes down. I put my card in, typed my PIN, and withdrew $60, enough for groceries and maybe a 6-pack. The machine whirred, the cash came out, I took it. Then the receipt started printing. I usually don't take the receipt, I just hit no and drive off. But this time, the machine didn't ask. It just started spitting out paper. I thought it was broken. I grabbed the receipt to throw it away, but something made me look at it. It wasn't a normal receipt. Normal receipts show your balance, the date, the time, the withdrawal amount. This one had all that stuff at the top, but below it, in darker ink, like someone had pressed really hard on the keys, it said, "He is in the back seat. Do not turn around. Drive to the police station 2 miles ahead." I stared at that receipt for maybe 10 seconds. My first thought was that it was a prank. Some bored teenager had hacked the ATM or put a fake sticker over the paper roll. My second thought was that I was tired and seeing things. My third thought was that I should check my back seat, but I didn't. Something in my gut told me not to turn around. I don't know why. I'm not a superstitious person. But the way that message was written, all caps, no punctuation except the periods. It felt urgent. It felt like someone was watching me through the ATM's little camera and typing that message in real time. I looked at my rearview mirror. The back seat looked empty. It was dark. My car is a sedan with tinted windows in the back. I couldn't see much. Just shadows. I told myself I was being an idiot, but I didn't turn around. I put the car in drive and pulled out of the parking lot. The police station was exactly 2 miles ahead. I knew where it was. I'd driven past it 100 times. It was on Main Street, right next to the fire department. I drove at exactly the speed limit, maybe a little under. My hands were sweating on the steering wheel. I kept looking at the rearview mirror every few seconds. Nothing moved. Nothing made a sound. The car was quiet except for the engine and the road. I kept looking at the receipt. It was sitting on my passenger seat. I picked it up and read it again. He is in the back seat. "Do not turn around." The paper felt normal. Ordinary thermal receipt paper, but the ink was darker than usual, almost black. I flipped it over. The back was blank. I called the police station. Not 911, just the regular non-emergency number. I had it saved in my phone from when someone hit my parked car last year. A dispatcher answered. I said, "I'm driving to the station. I think someone might be in my back seat." She asked me my name, my location, my car description. I told her. She said to keep driving and pull into the parking lot. Officers would meet me outside. I saw the station up ahead, red and blue lights already flashing in the parking lot. 2 cruisers, 3 officers standing by the entrance. I pulled in and stopped right in front of them. I put the car in park. I didn't turn off the engine. I didn't open the door. I just sat there with my hands at 10 and 2, staring at the officers through my windshield. One of them walked up to my window. He was older, maybe 50, with a gray mustache. He motioned for me to roll down my window. I did. He said, "Step out of the car slowly and walk toward me. Don't look back." My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I opened the door, stepped out, and walked toward the officer. I didn't look back. I didn't look at the car at all. 2 other officers approached my car with their hands on their guns. One opened the driver's side back door. The other opened the passenger side back door. I heard one of them say something I couldn't understand. Then I heard him say it again, louder. "He's in here, on the floor." I finally turned around. The officers pulled a man out of the back seat. He was crouched on the floor behind the driver's seat. I didn't even know that space was big enough for a person. But he was in there, folded up like a suitcase. He was wearing all black. Black hoodie, black pants, black gloves. In his right hand, he was holding a knife. Not a kitchen knife, a hunting knife. The blade was easily 6 inches long. In his left hand, a roll of duct tape, the silver kind you see in movies. The officers tackled him to the ground and put him in cuffs. He didn't resist. He didn't say anything. He just stared at me. His eyes were completely empty, like there was nobody home, like whatever had been in there had left a long time ago. I sat down on the curb and started shaking. Not crying, just shaking. The older officer brought me a bottle of water and sat next to me. He asked me how I knew someone was in my back seat. I showed him the receipt. He read it and his face went pale. He looked at me and said, "Where did you get this?" I told him. "The ATM at the strip mall." He called the station and asked someone to check the machine. 15 minutes later, a patrol car went to the bank. The officer called back. The ATM had no receipt paper. It had been empty for 3 days. There was a sign taped to the screen that said, "Out of service," that someone had peeled off. The machine was still dispensing cash, but it couldn't print receipts. It physically couldn't. The roll was gone. So where did my receipt come from? The police never figured it out. They checked the ATM's internal log. No record of any receipt being printed at that time. They checked the security camera on the bank building. The camera was pointing at the parking lot, not at the ATM. It showed me pulling up, using the machine, and driving away. It showed the white van I'd noticed earlier. The van left about 2 minutes after I did. The plates were stolen. They never found the driver. The man in my back seat was identified as a convicted felon with a history of violent offenses. He had been released from prison 3 months earlier. When they searched his apartment, they found photographs of me. At the grocery store, getting gas, walking to my front door. He had been following me for weeks. He had a detailed plan. He was going to wait until I was on a quiet road, then sit up, put the knife to my throat, and make me drive to a second location. That's what the duct tape was for. He never said why he chose me. He never said anything at all during the interrogation. Just sat there with those empty eyes. He's in prison now. Maximum security. And I moved out of that apartment 3 months later. But here's the part that still keeps me up at night. The police checked the ATM's maintenance records. The receipt paper roll had been replaced on a Monday. I used the ATM on a Tuesday night. The paper should have been there, but it wasn't. The technician who refilled the roll signed the log. He had no explanation. The roll was just gone. No one knew who took it or when. So someone typed that message, someone who knew I was coming to that ATM at that exact time. Someone who knew there was a man in my back seat. Someone who could access a disabled ATM's internal display, or somehow feed paper through a machine that wasn't supposed to be able to print. To this day, I don't know if it was a security guard who saw something on a camera, or a hacker who broke into the ATM system, or something else entirely. Something I don't have a word for. I just know that if I had turned around in that parking lot, I wouldn't be telling you this story. And if I had ignored that receipt and driven home, no one would have found me until it was too late. Someone saved my life that night. Someone I'll never meet. Someone who knew exactly what to say and exactly how to say it. I still have the receipt. It's in a Ziploc bag inside a drawer in my nightstand. The ink has faded over the years. You can barely read it now, but I remember every word. He is in the back seat. Do not turn around. Drive to the police station 2 miles ahead. I never use ATMs anymore, not ever. If I need cash, I go inside the bank, and I always check my back seat before I lock my car door. Every single time, even if I'm just going to the grocery store. Even if I just parked 5 minutes ago, I check. Because you never know who's already back there. And you never know who's watching through a tiny camera, typing a message that shouldn't exist, just to keep you alive one more day.